Um, can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Philippine Nurses Association of America Patnubay sa Pagtatagumpay Mentoring Program, Cohort 3, Webinar 2. Tonight's topic is Your Personal Brand Statement, the Art of a Perfect Pitch. For those of you who doesn't know, Patnubay sa Pagtatagumpay, also known as P3, this is an exclusive mentoring program for PNAA members only that started way back in February of 2023. This is to help mentor, guide, and develop future nurse leaders. We are so proud to continue this mission as we welcome and support the third cohort of this program. I am Veronica Timpo, and I'm honored to host this webinar tonight. Thank you all for joining us as we continue this meaningful mentoring journey focused on growth, leadership, and professional development. Before we begin, I would like to share a few housekeeping reminders. Please keep yourself muted throughout the presentation to prevent background noise from disrupting our speaker. And due to time constraints, kindly write your questions and comments in the chat box. This will be read and addressed later by our moderator, Dr. Pedro Morande, after the speaker's presentation. So to start our program, may I invite Dr. Cora Munoz, a P3 mentor, to lead us in prayer.
Thank you. Since we just celebrated Pentecost, I thought it's appropriate for us to invoke the presence of the Holy Spirit in our mentor-mentee meeting tonight. So let us pray. Come, Holy Spirit, descend upon all of us here tonight and touch us with your loving and caring hand, that we can be inspired as we move forward in planning and achieving our goals for mentorship. Fill our hearts with peace, our minds with clarity, and our spirit with strength. Guide us in our path towards a fruitful and successful mentoring journey. Guide our thoughts, our conversations, and every decision we make throughout this evening and beyond. Open doors of opportunity and lead us exactly where you want us to be. Let this evening be productive, peaceful, and filled with abundant blessings that only you can give. Pour grace upon our leaders and upon each and every mentor and mentee, that their focus always be upon you to lead us and to guide us. And may the Spirit of the living God give us wisdom, understanding, discernment, and peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Munoz, for that beautiful prayer. Now I'd like to call on Dr. Gloria Briones, our PNAA immediate past president and P3 advisor, for a short message.
So, good evening, everyone. And I would like just to thank Dr. Sager and the steering committee and the moderator for tonight for hosting and giving us always the courage and the vision to continue this program. So let it be a celebration of all of us. Mentorship is the key for leaders to, to help and enhance and promote the future leaders of the Filipino American nurses in the United States of America and across the globe. So, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Briones, for your inspiring message. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Pedro Morante, P3 mentor and mentee, who will now introduce our featured speaker for tonight's webinar. Dr. Morante, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good day to everyone joining us for this very special session of the PNAA Patnubay sa Pagtatagumpay Mentoring Program or P3. Today is more than just a webinar, it is a gathering of nurses bound by purpose, service, and heart. And for many of us, especially our Filipino nurses across the globe, it is a reminder that no matter where we practice, we carry the same calling to care deeply, to serve selflessly, and to show up even in the most difficult moments. And tonight, we are especially honored to welcome a nurse who embodies the same spirit on a global stage. It is my great joy to introduce Alice Benjamin, known to many as Nurse Alice, and widely recognized as America's favorite nurse. Nurse Alice is a board certified family nurse practitioner and clinical nurse specialist with extensive experience in cardiovascular, critical care, and emergency medicine. She had cared for some of the most critically ill patients in underserved and high acuity hospital settings, bringing both clinical excellence and deep compassion to every patient encounter. Beyond the bedside, Nurse Alice has become a trusted public health voice. During the COVID 19 pandemic, she served as a medical correspondent for NBC4 Los Angeles, helping millions understand rapidly changing health information with calm, clarity, compassion during the time of global uncertainty. She has appeared across major national and international platforms, including Good Morning America, CNN, Fox News, HLN, BBC, Dr. Oz, TV1, News Nation, and The Doctors. She's also a podcast host, author, educator, and the founder of AskNurseAlice.com, a platform dedicated to accessible health education empowerment. What makes Nurse Alice truly stand out is her authenticity. She brings together clinical expertise, honesty, and heart in a way that truly connects with people. So it is great excitement and pride and honor that we welcome her today. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to America's favorite nurse, Nurse Alice Benjamin.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Um, you know, Thank you. That's all I can say. When you're very passionate about the work that you do, and it's authentic, it's something that you probably would do if it were for free. You know, you make an impact. And so over the years, I've been able to really kind of follow my heart, do the work I'm most passionate about, and really make impact. And I'm very thankful for that. So thank you for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Please let me know when you can see my slides. Someone give me a thumbs up. Oh, good, you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to keep us, sometimes I can talk a lot, so I'm going to try to keep it on track. But that's, on television, it's good because speaking comes naturally to me. And so this evening, I have the great honor to present to you all a brief presentation on your personal brand statement. This is something that's extremely important. It's very powerful. And as nurses, we're taught clinical skills, patient care, critical thinking, and professionalism, but very few of us are taught how to communicate our value, our expertise, and impact in a memorable way. So whether you want to become a leader, an educator, content creator, entrepreneur, speaker, I mean, the list goes on, or simply just be recognized as an expert in your specialty, your pitch matters. And the truth is, nursing is evolving. So no longer are nurses just at the bedside. We're in boardrooms, we're in media, policy, education, business, technology, and leadership spaces. And so your personal brand helps people to understand who you are, where you fit in, and what makes your voice valuable. So again, for those who may not know me, I'm Alice Benjamin, but many people call me Nurse Alice. I've been in nursing for over 25 years now. Started as a CNA, LVN, RN. Then I became a clinical nurse specialist and then a family nurse practitioner. I'm very passionate. I have personal ties to why I entered nursing, both inspired by my parents. And over the years, in addition to working in the clinical space and taking care of patients, I've also entered into education and into the entrepreneur space. And I'm become the founder of actually three different healthcare media and education companies. And one thing over the years, I realized that many opportunities did not come to me simply because I was clinically competent. They came because people understood my expertise and my perspective quickly. I was able to communicate that. So when television producers would call me, they would need to know, can I explain complex health information? Can I connect to the audience? Do I have credibility? And so the same thing happens in nursing leadership, with speaking, consulting, education, and even in business. People need to quickly understand who you are, what you're known for, and why they should trust you. So these are our objectives for the evening. We are going to talk first about understanding what a personal brand statement actually is. Second, identifying the key components of a strong pitch. And third, crafting your own statement in a way that feels authentic and natural. So I want you to start thinking beyond just your job title. Because saying I'm an ICU nurse is very different from saying I'm an ICU nurse passionate about helping frontline nurses recognize subtle signs of patient deterioration before a crisis begins. You see the difference? So one communicates a role and the other communicates value and impact. So what is a personal brand statement? And please feel free to put it in the chat. Give me an emoji, a thumbs up of something if you're familiar with a personal brand statement or if you've used one before. Um, I think as nurses, we don't learn this per se in nursing school, but along the ways, I think some of us get bits and pieces of this, but we've never been formally taught how to put a personal brand statement together. So a personal brand statement is a concise summary of who you are, what you do, who you help, and the value you bring. And for nurses, this matters because nursing is incredibly broad. We know that a nurse is not a nurse, right? Meaning, although we're all very valuable, we all have our specialties, our niche, things that we're good at. And so there are labor and delivery nurses, informatic nurses, aesthetics, legal nurse consultants, nurse educators, critical care nurses, nurse entrepreneurs. Nurses are in all spaces and places. So it's very important that you communicate that. And your title alone doesn't always tell your story. So for example, I'm a nurse practitioner. Okay, but what kind? Who do I serve? What problems can I help solve? What am I passionate about? Those are the things that need to be communicated as part of your personal brand statement. And a stronger example rather than saying I'm a nurse practitioner, a stronger example might be I'm a nurse practitioner focused on helping underserved communities improve cardiovascular health through education and prevention. You see how we hone in on my specialty, the people that we serve. So it's very clear to the person who's in the room with me the value and the impact that I can bring. Because just imagine you have a team. It's great that you have a team, but what's everyone's specialty? You want to put people, you want to be able to identify their talents and their skills and give them that space to go. And so if people aren't really aware of those things, sometimes they don't know what to do with you in a sense, right? Or they might underestimate you or not give you the platform that you are very qualified and deserving to have. And so this helps just give people a clear understanding of your identity and your mission. Now, why your pitch matters. Nurses, we often underestimate how quickly opportunities emerge from simple conversations. We always think there'll be a next time or later or more time. And sometimes you might get on the elevator with someone and we just be traveling 3 floors. So you have maybe 45 seconds to communicate who you are, what you're capable of, to that perhaps millionaire, if you will, in the elevator who could help seed your new business, or someone from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation who's looking for a fellow and you've always wanted to work with them and you have this expertise and this idea. So it's very important that you have your pitch ready to go at all times in your back pocket. And so you want to have something there because a strong pitch can influence leadership opportunities, committee appointments, conference speaking invitations, media interviews, career advancement, entrepreneurship, and even networking. I've had nurses tell me, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging because we service others. It's not about us, it's about our patients. Well, I want you to give yourself permission to talk about yourself, pat yourself on the shoulder and the back. Because how many times do we also say nurses are unsung heroes? They don't get recognized. And sometimes, especially if you're on that elevator ride with, I don't know, with Mark Cuban, one of the Shark Tank people, you got 45 seconds. Pat yourself on the back. Tell them who you are. And tell them about how great your invention is and how it'll save thousands of lives. You need to be able to say those things. So I want you to have the courage to do so. Because communicating your expertise, it's not bragging. It's professional clarity is what it is. If someone asks, what do you do? And your answer is vague, and you may unintentionally miss a very valuable opportunity. And the reality is people cannot advocate for opportunities for you if they don't understand your expertise. So let's get into the 5 key components of an effective brand statement. Now, first, your identity. What is your professional role? Okay, many of us will say we're nurses, but I'm also nurses wear multiple hats. And I'm sure there's probably people on this call and who may be watching a replay. Yes, you work as a nurse, but you're also an entrepreneur. Maybe you're a real estate investor. Maybe you have different things that you have going on. Your brand statement will be based on what it is you're trying to communicate to the audience in front of you. So if you're in the elevator with Mark Cuban and he's ready to give someone seed money, then maybe you have your entrepreneur hat on. If you're in there with, I don't know, let's say the CDC director and you're an infectious disease nurse and you have some ideas about how they can be more effective, then your brand statement might be centered around that. So I just want you to know that your brand statement, your identity may change depending on what you're communicating. But for now, I'm going to stick with nursing. What are you clinically or professionally known for, academically known for, your research? What is your expertise? And for number 3, who's your audience? Do you service patients? And perhaps there's even a specialty populations, maybe oncology patients, maybe it is pediatrics, right? Maybe it's maternal health, things like that. Or maybe in your role, you service, I don't know, physicians. Maybe you're working with physician groups, those type of things. And then 4th, your value. What outcomes or transformation do you create? I feel very confident that everyone on here, even if you're at the bedside, I don't want you to minimize the impact and the value that you contribute. Okay, so here's your opportunity to say what your impact is, whether you improve systems, improve patient outcomes, that you educate, those type of things. And then 5 is authenticity. Does it sound natural? Does it sound like you? Now, I will be honest, when you first create this, you'll probably stumble a little bit, but this will be your opportunity to practice because just as much as it's important what you say, it's also important how you say it. And when you say your brand statement, I want you to say it with conviction. I want you to even close your eyes and feel it from the pits of your belly that yes, this is my brand statement. This is who I am. And, because you want to communicate that enthusiasm, because if you don't sound like you believe yourself, why should the person across from you believe in it either? So, for nurses, authenticity matters. Patients, colleagues, audiences can immediately tell if someone sounds scripted or disconnected. So, for example, I think I have some examples here coming. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So weak and strong examples. So a weak example might be And I've done this before. So if you've like, oh, I've said that, don't feel bad. We've all been there. We all, you got to crawl before you walk. But an example that may not have the impact that you want it to be, say, is I'm a nurse who likes helping people and working in healthcare. Well, that's all of us. So what makes you stand out? So you're the one who is highly considered or selected for said opportunities. This particular example falls flat because it's vague, it's generic. I'm unclear what this nurse's expertise is. I've not heard anything about impact, anything that's unforgettable. You want to leave an impression where people walk away thinking like, will leave the conference like, yeah, I remember that nurse Alice. I met her. And she does X, Y, and Z. So you want to leave a good impression. So a stronger example would be, I'm a critical care nurse educator who helps frontline clinicians recognize early warning signs of patient deterioration to improve patient safety and outcomes. Very more specific, right? My audience has been identified there. It's very outcome driven, it's memorable, and it demonstrates my expertise. So it makes very clear to the person who I'm speaking with, wow, I know what Alice does. Okay. Now, let's see. So now we understand your specialty, audience, purpose, and impact. So those are the things that are very important. So now we're going to get into the formula of creating your brand statement. So just by again, and I didn't quite see the box there. Did Are there people on here who already have their brand statement? Like I've had it for a while. It's good. It's strong. It's the one I'm going to keep. It's okay. It's okay to change your brand statement as your specialties and your projects change, but there's definitely like a core to it, a basic recipe if you will. Now it's your job to add in all of the other ingredients to it. So your brand statement formula, it should be clear, confident, a brand statement that articulates your unique value proposition. What makes you uniquely different from someone else who's a nurse or another nurse practitioner or another educator or another researcher. So here are some different ones you can use. I help women achieve optimal cardiac health through my women's cardiac exercise program. I'm just making this up on the fly. But you can see, and please take this, screenshot it. I've shared the template with you. Use this, and perhaps also if you want to create variations of your brand statement, you can, so it's not like the same one all the time, all the time, all the time. You can say, I am a family nurse practitioner who specializes in emergency medicine to help uh, um, underserved patients in South Los Angeles. I don't know. You can whatever it you can alter these to fit whatever your specialty is, your outcomes are, and what your unique value proposition are. Um, let's see. I use my expertise in cardiovascular health to help men achieve optimal blood pressure management. I don't know, but you can think of these as you're going through because I'm sure many of you will have several outcomes. You may have different populations that you treat because I'm pretty sure nurses we have a lot of projects going on here. I'm sure. So these are this is like a formula that you can use as a template to build this. Now, when crafting your statement, it's good to keep it simple and conversational. With the million and one hats that you have on, you don't necessarily need to cram everything in this particular one, right? The goal is to identify yourself, your outcomes, your specialty, so people have an idea, a real good idea of what your specialty and your niche is. And that should win you over the follow-up conversation, the next meeting, the invite to the conference, where you'll have the opportunity to elaborate. Where nurses go wrong sometimes is overcomplicating it. And sometimes they think they need to include corporate language or medical jargon, and you don't. The goal is clarity. So just making sure it's clear, it's memorable, and it's something that is useful. Okay. So here's a guided activity so you can craft your statement. So I don't know that we have time to do this here, but even, when you step away from this evening, please do these activities amongst yourselves. I would get into practice that even as your mentor and mentee, practice your personal brand statements with each other. And every time you get together, so that way you can give feedback and elevate your statements. But who are you professionally? What do you specialize in? Who do you help? What impact do you create? And I want to say here, the impact that you create here is something that is very memorable, because sometimes we forget names, and then everybody's a nurse, right? Um, who do you help? Sometimes that might be a little gray, but what your impact is, what you did, what do you achieve, what do you do to help people? Oftentimes, that is the part of the equation that is most memorable. But combining all of these things, try to keep your statement maybe one, two, maybe even three sentences. But beyond that, that's already getting into a monologue, right? You're in the elevator, 45 seconds, something quick, and it allows them to take in who you are, what you do, allows them to process it, and hopefully that furthers the conversation. But clarity is key. And also, I want to say your pitch does not need to sound impressive. It needs to sound true. So don't feel compelled like, oh, mine is a little bit boring. If you've hit all of these things, the way that you make it quote not boring is you have to say it with conviction. Who you are, allow who you are inside. The beauty, the care, the knowledge, the expertise, allow that to shine through your voice, through your mannerisms, because just as much as we're talking about what to say, it's how you deliver it also that's very important. So, I've already talked about some tips on delivering it. Be confident. Lean in. Don't, your voice, project your voice. Stand up straight. Act like you belong in the room because you do. And in fact, oftentimes we are left out of the rooms because we don't, we sometimes don't even get into the room because we've not introduced ourselves properly for someone to fully understand how talented we are, how capable we are, how much we are of value and an asset to the team. So also understand that your pitch may be adaptable. So maybe have one, two, three in your back pocket. So that way you can change it up every so often. Speak conversationally, and then practice it out loud. Say it while you're in the kitchen cooking something. Practice, but don't just think it. You need to say it so your tongue doesn't stumble when it's showtime because you're going to be nervous sometimes. And so to get over the nervousness, maybe you're exercising and say it and say it and think it out loud, or say it and think it and say it aloud. But practice makes perfect. Okay. Oh, and I also will say, I know this picture of yours looks a little bit awkward here. The by the time I took this picture of the screen, the wording had changed, but we were talking about dehydration, heat strokes, dehydration, and things like that. I'm on television. I don't know if you can see the smiles on their face, but also when you land that opportunity, keep shining. Make sure that you are being your authentic self. And sometimes I like to be a little bit silly or a little bit fun. So, anyways, you might be wondering, what does Alice have on her head and the cup? But I was talking about a segment about heat stroke. And part of it is while I'm qualified as a nurse with years of experience, I'm very knowledgeable about how to care for people in heat strokes. I put on the hat and had the glass for a little extra razzle dazzle, if you will. So razzle dazzle people as well. Don't be afraid to do that. Um, and in closing, I really just want to emphasize that your personal brand statement is your professional reputation communicated intentionally. Do not shortchange yourself. Don't cut yourself short. Don't look down or look away. This is your time to shine. Nurses are more than capable of advocating for patients. So let's advocate for ourselves. Your delivery matters. A strong pitch should sound confident, natural, concise, and adaptable. I want you don't need to tell your whole story because one of the biggest mistakes nurses make is over explaining. Just lead with clarity first. Now, again, your experience matters, your perspective matters, and your expertise matters. But if people cannot clearly understand what makes you unique, they may overlook your value. So be intentional about how you communicate your professional identity. And remember, you don't have to become someone else to build a strong brand. You simply need to communicate your strengths more intentionally. So, in closing, if someone remembered only one thing about you professionally after today, what would you want it to be? That's what you need to remember when you're delivering your personal brand statement to someone across the room. When they walk away, what do you want them to remember about you? So, I want to thank you so much for your time and attention today. I really appreciate being invited to the program. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Nurse Alice, and thank you everyone for your time and participation today. Now we've come to a point that we can ask questions, comments, or discussion points. So please feel free to raise your hand or submit your questions, and we'll do our very best to address them in the chat box. And we welcome all your thoughtful questions and appreciate your engagement on this evening. Don't be shy. So if no one will ask questions, probably I can start the ball rolling. There's Alice. Is it okay to have one personal brand statements?
I uh, I would say I would encourage, especially if you're wearing multiple hats, which many nurses are, right? We're a nurse in a hospital, but perhaps also maybe we are I don't know, the den mom for the Boy Scouts. I don't know, right? Something like that. You probably have multiple hats. So depending on what the opportunity is in front of you, you may represent one hat more than another. So if you're wearing multiple hats, each of your hats should have its own brand statement. Because if I'm a nurse and I'm communicating that I educate and empower nurses to identify early warning signs of clinical deterioration, that's wearing my hospital and my nurse hat. But if I'm doing something for my son who's a Boy Scout, I'm helping them with their fundraisers or something like that, I may have a different elevator pitch representing that role. So I would say it is perfectly okay to have more than one brand statement. Again, because if you put them all together, it can be confusing. But yes, have multiple. Some of you on here might be a real estate investor, and that might need its own personal brand statement. You might own I don't know, a bakery, different from nursing, but nevertheless, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you should have a brand statement for when you're encountering people with that particular hat on.
Thank you so much for that response with clarity. I think Janelyn Lee has a question. Okay. Janelyn, you can unmute yourself.
My question is so I'm one of my hats is being a nurse entrepreneur here in the United States, and I'm starting. I know what my pitch is and my branding is, but my question is, how do you raise awareness quickly for people to understand the value that you're giving them?
How do you raise? Well, part of it is with the value that you're talking about the outcomes and the value that your business brings to the
Yes.
consumer. Okay,
Yes.
so one is obviously you want to create your brand statement. You want to include that outcome in your brand statement. Now, we're talking about brand statements, but it doesn't just stop here. This is one piece of the puzzle. So when it comes to communicating your expertise and your value, obviously we're talking about a brand statement as if I'm talking to someone on an elevator at a conference or I see someone somewhere. But it doesn't stop there. It's important for nurses to raise brand awareness by amplifying their voice. So how do you amplify your voice? Well, you do that through speaking opportunities. You do that through media opportunities. And I know people are going, oh my gosh, I'm not ready to be on TV. I don't want to do that. Well, it doesn't have to be television. It could be something as simple as writing an article, being quoted in an article, doing a podcast, doing even like your Instagram or LinkedIn lives, but using media as the vehicle to spread your message in multiple places. So I'm on television, so we consider that mass media. It's information that gets out to the masses at one particular time. So as a business, and I'm not sure what your business is, but I'll just say let's say it's real estate. I'm making this up. So real estate. Even if you're a nurse, you're doing real estate, then I would pitch myself to maybe be interviewed for business real estate podcasts. I'd look at the real estate outlets and magazines out there and offer, is there opportunity for me to write an article or pitch a topic to say, I'd love to be a guest on your show, or can I help you with any stories? Because that also increases your digital footprint and how you're discoverable online. So, you know how we always say the best way to combat misinformation is by putting in the correct information in front of our patients? Same with your brand. The way you need to put yourself in multiple places. So when someone Googles your business, Googles your name, the full page shows up. It's you, and more you on these different outlets. And there's something called social credibility. So when we talk about ourselves, it's one thing. Like when your mom talked about you, of course, your mom's going to say everything nice about you. But if a stranger, someone who you don't know, talks about you, then you're like, oh, well, who's this person? Like it adds value because more people are talking about you. So it's not just you and your cheer squad, but other people out there. So that gives the public who may not know you, it kind of quickly vets you and expedites your vetting as to, oh, this must be someone. So for to long answer short, take your business, find the outlets where your consumers are, pitch yourself as a speaker, ask if you can write an article, if they're interested in an interview, and do that in multiple places. Don't always do the same outlet. You want different outlets. That way, like when you go to my website, you can say ABC, CNN, HLN. You see all of the things. It's like, wow, Alice has done like, so that also helps to elevate your brand. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Another question from Ms. Reglita Lapet. She's raising her hand.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moranti. And for Alice, thanks for sharing your expertise with us. We also heard you were also one of our speakers in the National Convention here in Detroit. Okay. Now my question is, we Filipinos, by culture, we are very silent and we are humble. Now, in this topic, it seems that we have to have a paradigm shift from being humble to be very outspoken. Now, what is the best strategies you can, so that we will be able to really express ourselves and say our brand statement?
Okay, understood. And I don't know if you remember, but mestiza ako. So I'm half Filipino, just as a gentle reminder for those in the room who may not know. Yes,
Oh,
yes. So I
wow.
understand the culture, you don't want to be perceived as rude or like I totally understand that part. But here, I want us to think like business people. What do they say? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. I know. So it is definitely a paradigm shift for us. And sometimes it's hard for you to do it. So oftentimes what I recommend to people is, you find your buddy, you find your business person, your friend, you pitch each other. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm pitching myself sometimes. You pitch each other. So I would actually recommend here, if not already, because it's almost like having an agent or a PR manager, someone who pitches you, right? Because maybe you're timid, you're shy, but eventually you need to build that muscle where you can advocate for yourself because, and I'll tell a quick story. So how did I get to NBC? I was at another station here in Southern Los Angeles, KTLA, but still it's a big station, very number one watch morning show in Los Angeles. But I was interested in, going on to a bigger station. I went to a panel, it was a journalist panel, and then the vice president of news at NBC was on the panel. His name was Todd. I forget his last name already. Panel, at the end, you get in line, you talk to the speaker. So I get in the line. I said, hi, Todd. I did my elevator speech, and he says, well, Alice, what are your goals? It's like, my goal is to be on networks like NBC, like yours. He's like, well, keep up, Alice. You're doing great work. You're on your way there. I said, I understand that, but I would like to be on your network. And then he was a little deers in the headlights. I said, what I'm asking for is I would like for you to give me one opportunity. All I'm asking for is one opportunity to be on your network, on your news station. If I don't do a good job, I won't bother you again. But if I do great, you have to have me back. I was in the NBC office. That was a Wednesday. I was there on Friday. And I toured the whole thing, met all the producers. I was on that Monday, and then I've been there ever since. But I'm gonna tell you, inside, I felt so uncomfortable. I was sweating inside, my armpits, everything sweating because I thought, oh my God, Alex, you got balls. And but I did it. And just imagine that. Had I got squeamish, had I been afraid, I would not be on NBC today. And so you have to have the audacity. And sorry, I said balls, but you know what I'm saying, like the cojones to just do it. And just think of it as like how you're doing everything for your patient. Nurses, I've seen nurses jump the bed to get to their patient to do something. So I want you to jump the bed for yourself. But as you're getting started, find your buddy and have them pitch you. Have them pitch you like as if they're your PR rep or your agent. But you need someone to do that for you. And then since we're on this topic, if some people are having some challenges, one of the things is I have a platform called IamNurseApproved.com. It's a nurse news and education platform. If someone on here has a specialty, a niche, you're looking for your first PR, your first press, your first interview, please email me. We'll happily interview you on your specialty, your topic. We'll find the right timing and the right thing, but we will help you to get that kind of that, like that new grad job, get you there, and then you can help use that to seed for your other opportunities. Because usually once you've done one thing, it's easier to get another media opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody else who has a question? I think one, Ms. Camilla Comilang from PNA-TCC has a question. Can having a slogan or a quote with branding self or certain brand voice, for example, science-based treatments you can trust, or adding it to her current practice or in her captions?
Slogans are actually very helpful and great. If you think about Nike, just do it. It becomes very memorable. And another short story. So my first media opportunity was with Fox. I went to another journalist fair and I was looking for did my research, who's the VP of talent, blah, blah, blah. I saw her and I just walked her by. I said, oh, hi, Amy, how's it going? And she thought she knew me because I was so friendly. She didn't know me at all. But she says, oh my gosh, where do we know each other? I said, well, we don't yet. I'm Alice Benjamin, Nurse Alice, America's favorite nurse. And then it just like stuck to her. So sometimes you take your slogan, you use it. That is often very catchy, and especially if it's like very catchy, it becomes memorable. Sometimes they won't remember your name, but you'll remember your slogan, and then that will bring them still eventually back to you. So yes, use your slogan. Absolutely.
Thank you. Anybody else from the room? And I think majority are asking if you can share your PowerPoint. I think everybody loves your presentation for today. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think I mailed it already ahead. So there's the PDF. So yes, please, you're welcome to share it, use it, practice your elevator speech, please. It's for you. I want to see nurses utilize that information so you can feel better about your brand statement.
So may I have the floor, Dr. Morante?
Yes, please, Dr. Brianos.
I just want to thank you, Miss Alice Benjamin. You are so inspiring and you're uplifting. So thank you because you're so passionate. And I think I can brand you as a very passionate nurse, Alice.
Thank you very much.
You are. So thank you.
This last one, I'll put my email in the chat box. Again, if anyone wants to email me a story, a pitch, happy to work with you. I'll even work with you on how to kind of put your story together for media, and we'll help get you out there. Because I also know that, especially, I was recently at the Health Policy for NCMNA. We did a Nurses Week special in a video, and Marlon is in the video as well. But I feel that we are often underrepresented as experts in media. And so one, it starts with our brand statement, but two, amplifying our voices. So if I can pass the microphone or the megaphone to you all, I'm extremely happy to do so.
One last question, if no one is asking. So, thank you so much, Nurse Alice, for your excellent presentation. I echo Dr. Briones. Boy, I can really feel the passion. I've seen other presentations on branding statements, from other nursing conferences, but yours is straightforward and easy to follow. I took down a lot of notes. Thank you for sharing the formula and the templates on how to craft, an effective brand statements. And as I've said, I took a lot of notes. I have a lot of key takeaways, but I think my favorite one is it does not need to sound impressive, but it needs to sound true, which means it needs to be authentic, right? And I know I've seen a lot of people who are very passionate about what they're doing. However, they're having a hard time expressing themselves. So any tips on that?
So I want you to keep in mind like health literacy, like what we do for our patients. So if you keep that in mind of health literacy, how we use, simple words to explain it, because sometimes we get caught up in our alphabet soup and sounding smarts and using big words to explain things. So keep it
Yeah.
as simple as possible for those to understand, because oftentimes we may not be talking to a fellow healthcare professional. We might be talking to a banker who's going to finance our business, or someone else of a different discipline. They may not really understand our lingo, if you will. So keeping it simple, again, thinking health literacy, it will help you to kind of use the more simple words to explain it.
Thank you. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure. I get really excited talking about this because I want to see more nurses in media.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, I think there's one more. Bien?
Hi, Nurse Alice, the most favorite nurse in the world, I would say. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I just have a question. Our institution was recently involved in negative publicity, and I tried hard to promote our nursing. How can we, or what would be your suggestion to overcome this negative publicity?
So, and I'm not sure if
Move forward with
yes. So I'm not sure if this was a particular incident, but I myself also, I remember there was not too far recently there the term Filipino mafia was in circulating, and I learned to know that word as a form of endearment, not, but it's kind of like between us, because you're like, but it was turned into something that was in a negative, had negative connotation. And I will say, and this is also partially why I'm so excited to have our own news platform. I tried to pitch that story. But some outlets were very sensitive to the topic, and especially, all the DEI conversation, people want to stay away from certain things. So sometimes it can be challenging, especially when we're trying to use someone else's microphone. So when you encounter obstacles like that, and no one's picking up the story, it doesn't seem like anyone's biting. Don't stop. We just need to reassess the landscape to see how we can pitch the story another way, or actually find another outlet. Or sometimes that is a time when that should spearhead the passion to, we're going to create our own. We're going to create our own, amplify our voices and share it so it goes viral. Because sometimes the heads of certain media outlets, they have their favorites, or they have certain things that they want to talk about and they don't want to talk about, but they won't say it aloud, but you can tell from what they green light to go forward. So I think your question was, what do you do in situations where no one picks up your story? Is that kind of what it is? Well, you come to outlets like imnurseapproved.com. We help get those stories out. And then we apply pressure. So then it becomes unavoidable because now it's out there, it's being talked about, and many outlets don't want to be left out of conversation. So if someone else is talking about it, like whenever NBC does something, Fox is always watching, ABC is always watching, because they don't want to feel like they're not in the know or not in the conversation. So you apply pressure in other ways. So I hope that answers. I
Thank
know.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, Nurse Alice, for your wonderful Very inspiring presentation. We look forward to having you again for other topics that we discussed earlier during our chat. Yes? Okay. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will move on to our raffle, which will be led by Miss Carol Robles, PNAA board member and P3SC member.
Hi, thank you, Veronica. Good evening, everyone. So we will raffle two $25 Amazon gift cards. Good luck to everyone. First one, Maria Gianan. This is Eden, right? From PNA New England.
Yes, Carol.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next. Marianne Barlan. Are you here, Marianne? Marianne, are you here?
She said yes in the chat.
I saw someone clapping. It says Mary. Is that the same?
I think she's, let me see. I think she is logged in. Congratulations.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
congratulations to our raffle winners and thank you, Miss Robles. So to close tonight's webinar, may I call on Dr. Leo Felix Jurado, PNAA President for 2008 to 2010, PNAA Parliamentarian and P3 Advisor for the closing comments.
Thank you, Veronica, and good evening, everyone. I am a nurse leader who often gives the closing remarks in many programs, and I'm given the opportunity to summarize the proceedings. I'm just trying to come up with a brand just for tonight. So it's good to see a lot of young people here, and I'm so glad Nurse Alice is has the balls to represent us, and she really has a gregarious personality as she talked about the art of developing a personal brand and how important that is in today's professional environment because personal brand shapes how others perceive our expertise, our values, our leadership style, our credibility and influence. She talked about brand statement is not simply a self promotion. Rather, it is the intentional cultivation of a professional identity that reflects who we are and what we stand for and the impact we hope to make. So I I say that a personal brand communicates competence and trustworthiness. In leadership, per se, personal branding becomes even more significant because leaders are constantly observed and evaluated not only by what we accomplish, but how we lead. So that as effective leaders, we develop a recognizable style um, grounded in authenticity, emotional intelligence, vision, and ethical practice. Um, so that the significance of personal branding also extends to career sustainability and adaptability. My takeaways from Alice's presentation, some of the key elements he talked about, and also Veronica mentioned this, is authenticity. And that is ensuring that one's public professional identity genuinely reflects our personal values and strengths. it is also important to be consistent. That is, somehow aligning our actions, our communication, our behavior, and professional presence across settings, not only when we talk to a group of people, but it's always consistent as we go around different places. Somehow she started talking about credibility and building expertise. And that's how she sold herself in media. And again, visibility is also one element that I could think of where we engage professionally through networking and presentation and mentorship and at this time, at this age and time, many digital platforms. And as we create our personal branding, it's also important to think about purpose and impact. That is understanding the broader contribution that we want to make within a profession or community. So, in a way, personal branding is closely connected to somehow our legacy because it shapes how we are remembered professionally and the influence we leave on organizations, we leave on the mental map of people. So that a thoughtful personal brand allow leaders not only to advance professionally, but also to align their work with their mission, values, and long-term aspirations. In closing, the art of personal branding is about intentionally shaping a professional identity that communicates excellence, authenticity, and meaningful leadership. So I hope that uh, many of us uh, have come up with our own uh, personal branding, uh, and not be shy about it. So that if I would tell you what would be mine, I would say that uh, I'm a nationally recognized nurse leader, uh, educator, mentor, and an advocate, where my work advances healthcare professions education, where I develop future leaders, where I promote diversity and inclusion, and strengthen communities through servant leadership and transformative change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Horado, for your heartfelt closing remarks. I definitely felt the passion in your words. And yes, thank you for encouraging all of us, to stop crafting our brand statements. I want to say thank you as well to Dr. Morante for doing a great job moderating our session tonight. Yes?
Sure. Yes,
Thank you
she did
so
a
much,
wonderful job.
Dr. Morante. Yeah. So this concludes our webinar 2 program. On behalf of the organizers and mentors, thank you all for your presence, participation, and continued commitment to the Patnubay sa Pagtatagumpay mentoring program. For our mentees and mentors, please remain online for Pulong 1, which will immediately follow this webinar. Again, thank you everyone and have a wonderful evening.